Hi, it's Michael. My 750GS is now 4 months old and has about 3,600 kilometers on it. It's been very enjoyable to ride, though there are some things that don't seem to be fitting a BMW motorcycle regardless of the price point. And this talk is about that. Now, when somebody says BMW, what would seem to come to the mind is very good engineering and solidness. So it is kind of surprising to see these things on a BMW bike. So in no particular order, they are. A couple of these have been covered in my review of this bike, which is posted on YouTube as well on my channel, but they'll be mentioned here anyway. They belong to this video as well. So the first one is the light reflection in the dash. When the sun is directly behind me and shines directly at the dash, it's perfectly legible. But when the light is to the sides, then the light reflection is so strong that these smaller numbers cannot be seen. So all those things that the trip computer and other things can display are illegible. Speed, gear indicator and fuel gauge are fine. They are in bold, so they are fine. So this is the first thing unfit for a BMW motorcycle. The second thing is the switches. The switches feel very solid by themselves. They have very good feedback. They can be operated with gloves and one can feel the clicks. That's fantastic. But the switch assembly itself on this side is wiggling, if you can see it on the camera. On this side it's solid, on this side it wiggles. Strange stuff. It's not a huge deal, but on a BMW bike for $12,000, come on. Third thing, the seat. This is the optional comfort seat. That's the tallest seat, and to my butt it is very comfortable. But and at the same time, when it is properly latched, as it is now, it wiggles. It wiggles a lot. Now, when I sit on it, it feels rock solid. It doesn't wiggle. It wiggles only when it's unloaded like this, but still, like, come on. The fourth thing is there is a clanking sound when riding over sharper bumps or like washboard surfaces. Like, I enjoy riding on gravel roads like this, and when there are potholes or washboard surfaces, there is a repeated clanking sound, quite loud actually, coming from the bike, and it was traced to this. There is a mud flap here between the rear wheel and the shock. So this is what's heard when riding over bumps. Come on, BMW. Next thing is the windshield. So it is understandable that with windshields it can be hard to please everybody, and this stock windshield, it has the laminar lip attached to it, but the stock windshield, it actually looks quite nice, but it directs the wind at the shoulders and the helmet, so it increases wind noise, and it doesn't do anything really to help with high-speed riding. So on one hand, BMW makes a bike that has an engine perfect for highway riding. On the other hand, it discourages longer highway riding due to the lack of wind protection. Now one could say, okay, so go ahead and buy aftermarket windscreen, which I tried. I pumped already $500 into it, and no extra result came out of it so far. I'm not willing to do it anymore, but it's just that this is supposed to be also a travel bike, adventure bike, travel bike, and for a travel bike, especially in North America, not to have a good wind protection for the head, come on BMW, at least as an optional windscreen. BMW's resources and engineering know-how, which must be excellent, I'm sure that they could come up with a decent windscreen, adjustable windscreen that could fit most riders. Number 6 is the brake pedal alignment. So on my previous bike, which was a small engine Honda bike, the brake pedal was positioned, for my taste, perfectly, and there was no issue whatsoever. Here the brake pedal is positioned quite low, which means the ankle needs a lot of flexibility to press the brake pedal down, for the foot to press the brake pedal down, to fully engage the rear brake, to fully stop the bike, like during very low speed maneuvers. And as the result, it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel intuitive, it kind of has to be forced, and I'm saying forced with quotation marks. But anyway, it's not intuitive. So with normal riding boots that are low and that allow the ankle a good flexibility, this is not as much of an issue. It still doesn't feel very intuitive, but at least it's not a big issue. It can be done fairly comfortably once one gets used to it. But with these riding boots, which my feet and legs need, that are stiff and then don't allow the ankle too much flexibility, this is kind of an issue. So as you can see, to fully engage the rear brake, the camera may not capture it, it just doesn't feel natural, intuitive, as already mentioned. And so I had this, I bought this Touratech brake Enlarger. Now I don't need a wider brake pedal, but it adds a few millimeters of height to the brake pedal, and it helps. So the Touratech brake Enlarger actually helps. Now the brake pedal is not adjustable. What you see is what you get, and I wonder how people who need to stand up to ride, maybe not this bike but the F750GS, if it has the same brake pedal alignment, how they deal with it, because it must be almost impossible to use the rear brake when riding standing up. And the last, perhaps a bonus thing that I would like to mention, that at least in my very subjective view doesn't fit a BMW GS motorcycle, is the weight. As mentioned in my review of this bike, this is the heaviest motorcycle in its class, and GS means all kinds of roads. So obviously 19-inch front wheels, so this is obviously meant as a road exploring bike, as a travel bike, as a kind of light duty adventure bike. and dealing with a lot of heft, especially when pushing it around or needing to pick it up, or during low speed maneuvers, is unnecessary, and it is fairly obvious from other YouTubers that actually use their bike for exploring the world. They usually choose light bikes over high power bikes. So it can be understood that marketing wise, BMW needed maybe to come up with a big engine, a lot of horsepower. It's just utility wise, it is impractical. The bike fits, speaking very subjectively of course, 98% of the bike fits my need fantastically. Just the weight and some of the other things, the wind protection and some of the things mentioned in the video, they don't seem to make much sense. They are not very intelligent. So BMW has shown that they can come up with great accessories with great practicality. So why to come up with the heaviest motorcycle in its class? It can be made lighter, or at least lower center of gravity, so it's somewhat easier to handle, but BMW has not chosen this way. Who knows why? So that's it for this video. If you have any comments then or tips, please leave them below the video. Thanks very much for watching. Michael out.